Press the plus button is a new WiiU Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Hold on. Okay, checking my notes, checking. Actually I think it's called the letter. Why would they make the font for press the plus button so large? Were the people not understanding that you need to press plus? Were like the testers of this game, which that's kind of a joke in itself, not understanding that you need to press plus? Was the creator so worried that people would not be able to make it into his masterpiece that he had to make it completely clear that unless you press plus, the adventure would not start? Alright, let's try that again. The letter for the WiiU eShop comes in at a bargain price of $2. So is this game worth your time, or should you send this letter back to sender? This title is one of those crowdsourced games. Of the $5,000 it asked for, it ended up making $377. And you know what? That shows. Now, unlike normal crowdfunding rules, if they didn't make the $5,000, they wouldn't get the money. But Indiegogo has something called flexible funding, where it doesn't matter how much they're asking for, whatever gets donated to you, you get to keep, no matter if you make the amount that you're hoping for or not. Now, usually I don't show more than like 1/3 of the game. That's not give away spoilers. But really, since the game only takes 5 to 15 minutes to beat, that would be very little to look at. So I'm sorry if I'm spoiling your fun by showing you almost all the locations, but I need a little variety in the video in this review. Now, the story starts out with you in a room, and you need to find a letter to open the door. Okay, you're not looking for a letter to open the door because that would just be silly. You need to find a letter to know where to go next. You find out that your dad is missing and you're going to need to find him. The story plays out through text on the screen. And that was just weird. Why not have this voiced over? It wouldn't have cost that much more. I mean, the guy could have done it real cheap and quick. And it kind of would have made things a lot more scary. Reading some story paragraphs all the time really took away the sense of dread. Graphically, the game looked kind of bad. But what do you expect for a $2 game? I'm not going to harp too much on the graphics because it's a little unfair to be expecting like high-res graphics for a bargain price game. Now, this is an adventure game with potential horror elements. I say potential because it never is realized. I will fully admit that it was creepy when the dolls would say, "Help me." Help me. However, if you're going to throw in this element, pay them off. At least a little. The ending is so abrupt and pointless, you're going to look at the screen dumbfounded and annoyed. The game gives you hints on what you needed to do. Like for example, in the open field, you're tasked to find a weapon. However, you come upon rocks, 2x4s, sticks, and those aren't the weapons, even though they're littering the area. You can't use those as the weapon because it's not the specific weapon the game wants. Well, game, if you didn't want me using a 2x4 as a weapon, how about you just say, "Go find the knife," instead of "go find a weapon." It was very annoying to have such vague hints. What's even more crazy is that one of the hints is literally, "Wait for it." And what does that mean? It means do nothing but walk around a room if you want for a minute. And then the game moves on to the next part. The person who made this game actually took the time to make a room for us to wait in for a minute. If I wanted to wait around for the game to continue, I would go search out a DMV simulator to play. With all these crazy grass and rock simulators out there, it's gonna happen, I have no doubt. You pick up a few objects in the game. These objects are sometimes very hard to find as they blend in with the graphics. The problem with making an adventure game is that you're gonna wanna pick up stuff. There are a lot of objects in the game that look like you can manipulate them, but they're just dead objects. They're just there to make the game look more interactive than it is. There are 5 places to go in the game, and the longest part is the second location. It's just an open area with lots of places to explore. However, all these places are just filler, as there's nothing to do with them. For example, you see a water tower with a ladder, so you would think maybe something's up that ladder. Nope. You can't even go up the ladder. It's just there for show. Why is this even here? I'll tell you why. Because the creators didn't want to just have an open field. He wanted to litter it with useless objects and locations. With this location being so large, you would think there would be some adventure type puzzles in it that you're going to need to solve in order to get the 3 objects. But no, you just walk up to them and pick them up. 95% of this part is just pointless. Now you might say it's to increase the tension and the horror parts of the game, since someone might come out and get you at any moment. However, a few minutes into playing it, you get the feeling that no one's going to come get you, no matter how long you're wandering through this field, and that feeling would be right. Now the controls were just awful. If while you're watching this review, you're wondering why I'm jerking around the camera all the time, it's because I'm fighting the controls. They were very loose and very awkward. It had inverted camera controls, and I hate using those types. Plus it had the tendency to move more to one side when you're trying to walk straight, so it made the brief jumping sections more difficult to play. So you had to compensate for that as well. Now the musical soundtrack is the only thing I would say that is positive about the game. I thought the background music in the field was creepy enough to make things a bit spooky. Background music changes between locations. It went from spooky to rock music. However, for the most part, the music was okay. Now, this game is very short. In fact, this review is longer than a normal person's playing time when they replay the game. I've heard of people getting a time of 4 minutes in replaying this game. Personally, in my replay of the game, I finished it off in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And I bet I could take 40 seconds off that time as I got a little bit lost in the first location. Now, I did see that the creators did decide to change the title screen up in an update that's coming in to make it a little less panicky that you're not going to hit that plus button. And it looks like they're going to be adding more areas to this game. But you know what? You should do this before you release the game. We shouldn't have to pay $2 to be your tester to tell you what's wrong with the game. But just so you know, there apparently is going to be updates to this game with inclusions of new stuff. The problem with doing it this way is that you've lost the trust of the people who bought this game. Do you really think they're going to go back? I want to see if they updated this $2 game with new areas and locations. No! They'll delete it and never come back to it again. The letter is a disappointment. The controls were terrible, and the length of the game was way too short. Now, I'm happy that the creators only charged us $2 for the game, which, by the way, must annoy the people who contributed to the game on Indiegogo, since $10 was the going rate that they were asking for money in order to get a copy of the game. But with that, you also get the letter wallpaper and his gratitude as well. So maybe that was worth the extra $8 they had to pay. However, I don't think the game is worth $2. But to the creator of the letter, I have 2 letters for you. N-O. This game is not worth your money and you should absolutely skip it. Well, that was the letter. Well, it looks like Nintendo has their very first early access game, even if they didn't really want it. If you want to see a better game to play, go check out my review of Shovel Knight. Or if you want to go back and see one of the other bad games that I reviewed this year, check out Monster High 13 Wishes. Woo! That one was just bad. If you like this video, please subscribe and thank you for watching.